Which state are you in? Some days you're dragging yourself out of bed, white-knuckling your way through tasks. Other days you feel grounded, clear, calm, maybe even content. And on rare days, you're lit up, firing on all cylinders, creating, flowing, making things happen. These aren't just moods or emotions that come and go. They're sustained states of being. And where do you live most of the time? Well, that changes everything. Well, I think people move through 3 levels of energy or awareness in life. Not once, but over and over again. And I believe it's possible to recognize where you are and climb the ladder. This video is about recognizing these states and understanding the quiet switches that move you upward to a better state. Welcome back to Thinking and Being. If you like what you see today, please be sure to like and subscribe, as this will enable you to see more content just like this. And it is my pledge to you that I'll try to make each successive video 1% better as I learn new skills such as better use of equipment, better equipment itself, cooler edits in the videos, better B-roll, better graphics. I'm going to do what I can to make each successive video 1% better. Today I want to talk about surviving, living, living? Is living a word? Can we make it a word? And thriving, which can also be seen as feeling crappy, calm, and feeling excited. But here in this video, I will use a physical electrical analogy, which is discharged, grounded, and electric. Since most of us have first world problems and we don't need to go hunting for our food every day, I think this 3-layer construct is more applicable to our daily lives than, say, things like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But it's more than just a theory of achievement of optimal states in life. It's a representation of a simpler critical path and a recognition that you may not be in the ideal state of being. So why is this on my mind? This idea started taking shape during the pandemic. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't chasing anything. No rushing to meetings, no overbooked schedule, just stillness. And in that stillness, something shifted. I felt calm, present, grounded. I wasn't in survival mode anymore. But that wasn't the destination, it was just sort of the middle. Feeling calm for the first time in my life was a big deal to me. But then I started to sense that there's something beyond calm, a state where you're not just present, but you're on fire, like in a good way, where you're building, flowing, creating without burning out. And I realized I want to see what I can do to get there. And I think a lot of us do. So the first main idea I want to talk about is the definitions of each state of being. When I say energy, I don't mean vibes or chakras necessarily. I mean how alive you feel, how you move, think, react, and show up. In physics, a system's energy state reflects its capacity to do work. Same with humans. Low energy equals low function. In medicine, your nervous system operates in different states too. Fight or flight, rest or digest, or flow. These aren't moods, they're measurable physiological conditions. You know the difference between barely surviving a meeting and walking out of one buzzing with momentum. This is simply about classifying what your body already knows. So the first state I'm going to call discharged or surviving. You're reactive, tired, and flatlined. You feel like you're just trying to get through the day. Your calendar controls you, your energy leaks everywhere. You reach for whatever numbs you, not what restores you. And it lies to you. It tells you that this is just life now. In terms of a battery analogy, you have a low battery warning flashing. You're not broken, but you're barely running. Your apps crash, notifications overwhelm, the brightness of your phone dims. If you keep going, you'll shut down or misfire. So this is burnout, overcommitment, numbness, and you get into reactive loops that can be dangerous or undesirable.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Don't care?
It's a problem of motivation, all right? Now, if I work my ass off and Initech ships a few extra units, I don't see another dime. So where's the motivation?
The second state is what I call grounded or living. You're present, regulated, not chasing, not escaping. You're not overwhelmed, but you're not buzzing either. You sleep better, speak slower, and listen more. You feel like a human again. This is your baseline of being. where your nervous system recalibrates and your thoughts soften. Going back to that battery iPhone analogy, you're plugged into a steady power source. You're recharging, stable, regaining strength. Background processes are working. The system is quiet. You can receive input again. So this is presence, calm, and capacity returning to you.
I was a smart one, started living for the Lord and I last. Now all I gotta say to you, warning is gonna be crumb snatching, coochie eating pranksters. When the grim reaper steps up, what the hell you gonna do? Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
The third state is what I call electric. You feel lit up, ideas spark, words come easier, you act without overthinking. You attract people, energy, and momentum. You feel like you're in motion with purpose. This isn't about hype, it's about alignment between who you are and what you're doing. Electric doesn't mean manic, it means alive. And going back to the battery iPhone analogy, your battery is full, signal is strong, the processor is humming. Your creative apps are open, outputs are firing, ideas are flowing. You can give energy without draining yourself. You're not just functional, you're powerful. This is flow, alignment, and productivity with joy. So a few comments about these three states. It's a system, it's not a mood or an emotion. You don't snap into electric. And feeling excited for 5 or 30 minutes isn't the same thing. You have to build conditions that lead you there. And you don't escape the discharge by thinking harder. You start by quieting everything. It's a critical path, from discharged to grounded to electric, from surviving to living to thriving. Skip the middle and you burn out or you're faking it. So why do you have to be before you think in this construct? Clear thought doesn't come from chaos, it comes from stillness. If you act without presence, you're just reacting. Thinking without being is like writing code while your computer's overheating. You need space to process. You need presence to perceive.
Here are some downloaded peaceful sounds. That one makes me think of death. It's kind of nice.
And even the smartest people in history made space to be before they did their deepest thinking. Einstein took long walks in nature, not for exercise, but to let thoughts come to him, to let thoughts arrive. Leonardo da Vinci often stared at unfinished paintings in silence for hours before he started painting something else. Carl Jung, the popular psychologist, built a stone tower in the woods with no electricity, just so he could sit and be. And Nobel Prize winning novelist Toni Morrison said she needed quiet and stillness before she could write a single word. So before they produced brilliance, they created space to simply exist. Real quick, one of the things I do in my videos is promote others' products. And of course, I'm not getting paid for this. This is unpaid, but I figure it's good karma. It might be a product that helps you or something that you really like, and it's great practice for when this channel gets monetized, which of course we know is going to happen very, very soon. The product I want to promote today is Bose QC45 headphones, which I think are absolutely essential for air travel. They're great for walks around my neighborhood when I want to listen to nerdy stuff on my phone, and assuming I look around so I don't get hit by a car. And for the occasional Zoom meeting that you have to take in a coffee shop that has the music up too loud. Been there, done that. So having been an owner of these for about 7 years now, 2 different models, they have new and improved models every few years. They have 3 levels of noise control to help you get to that calm and grounded state of being that I'm talking about in this video. They have no noise cancellation, low noise cancellation, and high noise cancellation. And it's quite the experience to be on a plane and have the high noise cancellation on. You never realize how loud it is to be just sitting on an airplane. So these can be expensive, but as a longtime user, I can say that they're worth every penny. They put up with a lot of abuse, being crammed into my backpack, taking in and out constantly, which also shows their high quality. The earmuffs are also really, really comfortable. There's no pain associated with the headband or the earmuffs after hours of use. So I really recommend these. So I'll put a link to this product in the description below so you can check them out. I think you really like them. All right, back to the video. So the second main idea I want to talk about is a quick check of which state that you might be in and some of the drawbacks and benefits of the state that you might be in. So where are you right now? Be honest. Not where you wish you were, but where you've been living most of the time lately. Discharged, running on fumes, chasing tasks, numbing out at night.
They're coming in through the back door!
Grounded, clear-headed, steady, not stressed, but not exactly lit up.
Everybody sit on the floor, Indian style like me. Oh my God, if you're wearing a dress, please keep your knees together. Nobody wants to see that.
Electric, ideas flowing, energy high, creativity snapping.
Everybody's talking about my tight pants. I got my tight pants. I got my tight pants on. Everybody's looking at my tight pants.
You don't need to explain, just acknowledge it. Think about the past week. What's been fueling you? What's been draining you? Did you ever hit that electric feeling? Are you still just trying to catch up? So we all cycle, but we can steer. Everyone moves through these states. The goal isn't to live a perfect life and be electric 24/7. It's really to spend less time discharged and more time intentional. Knowing where you are lets you decide where to go next. You don't need to control everything, but you can control your inputs. So comment below, where do you think you are? Drop one word in the comments. Discharged, grounded, or electric. Let this be your signal to check in. And don't worry, no matter what your answer is, the next section is about how to move upward. This isn't about judgment, it's about momentum. But real quick, before we go into the third section, I want to talk about how your energy state affects potentially your health. So if you're discharged or surviving, chronic stress triggers inflammation, poor sleep, and decision fatigue. Your body lives in a constant state of alert. Cortisol is up, immunity is down. Long term, this state is linked to heart disease, burnout, and depression. You're surviving, but your system is paying the price.
Well, here's to feeling good all the time.
At the next level, grounded or living, you're in a regulated nervous system state. Rest, recovery, and digestion improve. Emotionally, you're more resilient and less reactive. This is the zone where healing happens, both mentally and physically. You're not just stable, you're restoring. And then finally, the third level, electric or thriving. In this state, positive emotions boost brain function, immunity, and longevity. You sleep better, you move more, and you feel younger. Your body mirrors your mental expansion, which is a big deal. Researchers link this to flow states, neuroplasticity, and purpose-driven longevity. You're not just aging slower, you're living faster. And then to address some of the potential benefits of each state shapes your reality in life. Your thoughts shape your reality. So when you're discharged, the world feels overwhelming, chaotic, or indifferent. And you notice negativity faster. You expect rejection, and you assume people are in your way. Small problems feel huge. Big opportunities don't even register. So you're not seeing reality, you're seeing through the lens of depletion. At the next level, grounded or living, the world starts to feel manageable or even meaningful. You notice nuance. People feel more human, and you respond instead of react. You experience time more slowly, and life stops feeling like a sprint. This is a safe to engage stage, and possibility opens up. And then the third level, electric or thriving. Life feels expansive. You notice synchronicity, opportunity, and momentum. People gravitate towards you. Ideas connect faster. You feel in sync with reality, not at odds with it. It's not that the world changed, it's that you did. Also, it's important to know that these states have nothing to do with wealth or money. You can be wealthy and discharged, burned out, miserable, and anxious with more zeros in your account. You can be grounded on a budget, walking in nature, eating simply, creating peace in a small apartment. And some of the most electric people in history had very little wealth, but deep clarity and alignment. These are not financial tiers. They're energetic positions you occupy based on awareness, attention, and inputs. Money might buy options, but it doesn't buy energy. Each state is a system, not a salary. Okay, another thing I do in my videos real quick is that I do a YouTube shout out of another content creator. And I do that because they've inspired me to start this YouTube channel and it's worth giving them the credit that they deserve that inspired me to do what I'm doing today. Today I want to promote one of my favorite YouTubers, and her name is at DAPHNA, or Daphna, at Daphna. And this is one of the newer and lesser known creators that I am subscribed to. And she's a woman in her 50s who moved overseas after a divorce and started a YouTube channel. Quite successfully, I might add. And she talks about monetizing on YouTube and gives other tips for people like me just starting out. But she also talks about a lot of content on travel around Europe and how to manage money, which is useful to everyone. I'll add a link to one of her more popular episodes in particular, which she talks about life in your 50s and how we're going to likely live a long time into our 90s and what to do with all that time and how to be happy. So please go check her out, as her videos will give you new ideas about opportunities in life in a time when everyone is probably telling you that you're too old for that. Okay, back to the video. So the third main idea I want to talk about is how to advance through the states. So the first step, going from discharged to grounded, or from surviving to living. First, you have to stop leaking energy. When you're discharged, you often try to push harder, but what you need to do is unplug the leaks. Sleep deprivation, screen overstimulation, poor food, digital overload, and shallow obligations, they all tax your system. Start by creating space, not stacking new habits. Grounded isn't about adding energy, it's about protecting it. In systems terms, stop feeding the wrong loops. First, just stabilize. Then, reclaim agency, not control. Groundedness comes from remembering that you can respond, not just quickly react. When you're discharged or surviving, everything feels urgent. Start with tiny acts of sovereignty. Clean your space. Say no to something. Go for a short walk. Breathe deeper. These aren't productivity hacks, they're just pattern breakers. Small loops of intentionality lead to larger patterns of presence. Then the next step, from grounded to electric. Feed the flame. Once you're grounded, you can finally notice what energizes you. Lean into what makes you curious, expressive, creative, even if it's small or weird. Electric comes not from force, but from flow. And I might do a video in the future on flow states later on. Watch your energy rise when you're aligned, not when you're on. Think of electric as a resonance between what you're doing and who you are when no one's watching. And design a feedback loop that fits you. In systems thinking, a reinforcing loop builds momentum over time. So an example of such a loop would be doing one creative thing, which leads to getting noticed, which leads to an opportunity, which leads to boosting your confidence, and then that leads to doing more of it. Build a loop that reinforces your energy and doesn't drain it. Most people live in loops they didn't choose. Electric energy happens when you choose one and feed it. Also, beware of false elevation. Not everything that feels electric actually is. Caffeine, dopamine hits, adrenaline from urgency, they all give a jolt, but not necessarily sustainable energy. True electric isn't anxious, addicted, or performative. It's expansive and clear. If you crash after your energy, it probably wasn't real. Sustainable states feel lighter, not louder. Also, choose inputs that match the output you want. If you want to feel electric, ask, what am I consuming? Who am I around? Where does my time go? You can't create high-frequency output with low-frequency inputs. Curate your world like your energy depends on it, because it does. In systems thinking, you are the product of your environment. Change the environment and the system behaves differently. Thank you for watching today. As there are often more than one right answer, and I'm not always right, go ahead and comment below what you think. Is there anything I missed? My 3 key takeaways from this video are, many of us aren't broken, we're just discharged. It's just a state, and it's not a flaw. Second, you can't think clearly until you can learn to be. And third, getting to electric isn't hype, it's alignment with your higher purpose. If you like what you saw today, please like and subscribe, as it keeps me motivated to keep content like this coming to you. And it's my goal to make this content entertaining and funny, enlightening and educational, as well as a bit nostalgic. Stay tuned as we'll talk about topics ranging from consciousness to psychology to philosophy to physics, as well as the intersections between that affect your thinking and your being. Also, videos upcoming include what it takes to never have to update your resume again, and yes, finally become one of those people. But until then, keep thinking and being, and do not go gentle into that good night.